Well, what we have here is we have a picture of this Sefer Tivuk, which I encourage everybody to buy. If you're able to follow the Shiurim, you should have the book. Try to remember that the people who are writing these books, particularly the Tiv here, are writing for a small audience. It's a real audience, but it's small. It's bigger in Eretz Yisrael, and we're certain to have it here. But if you buy it, it helps them to publish more. So basically, we just need to see these are entrees into tremendous worlds. Now we're working on the Kriya Shema, and what's playing in the Kriya Shema. Let me see if we can get us lined up here. As we've been talking, I learned something the last time, and I hope you were listening in and you had a chance to follow that. The question was, is that why does the Rab say that the four different types of Kriya Shema, four times we say it, that each one of them has a taich to a different parts of more and more panimi, depending on which parts of which Kriya Shema you're talking about. So the most important one is going to be the one in chakras. But what we learned over here is that there are stops along the way. The stops are actually a lavushim, place where you. So if you have a tipa coming from the Roma Ma'alos, from the Ein Sof Baruch, and it's going to go through various tzimtzumim and wind up in the olam that we can understand of Atzilus. And then we see that the light comes through the Chitzonius of Atik at the highest possible time, which is chakras in the morning. And it picks up a labush of that, of Atik. And as a result of that, that passes through, it just gets to pass through the Eric Anpin and the Chitzonius and the Benemius of Eric Anpin, and it goes through the Chitzonius of Abba V'ima and the Benemius of Abba V'ima into Zer Anpin. But it's a lavush, it is a lavush of Atik. That was a big chiddush that I kind of figured out over there. I just read it, but I just learned it. So let's go over here and let's look over the words of the Tiv of the Rab himself, and then we'll get a chance to be able to look at the Tiv and get it into it deeper. So he said, "V'huki la'olim kasher zer anpin mamshich osa tipa min abba." So now he's talking about there's a little contradiction. The contradiction went like this: you go for the Kitzonis of Atik, which is the most panemi, to the panemios of Eric Anpin, which is Chitzoni to the Chitzonius of Atik. So it surrounds it. That's about right to say it. And then it goes from the Panemios of Eric Anpin. The next stop would be the Chitzonius of Eric Anpin. And then the next stop after that will be the Chitzonius of Zeranpin. Of Abba V'Ima. I'm sorry. Let me get my mind a little bit more straightened out. So it's going from Kitsonius to Panemius, then Kitsonius, and then to Kitsonius again. What happened to the Panemius? It's a question. What happened to the Panemius? It's coming from Abba V'Ima. So he said, why not? So when he's bringing down the tipa from Abba, yonek element Kitsonis bilvadi only can feed, in other words, get his nourishment from the Kitsonius of Abba. Ki apnimios to Abba, who nechshav keilu yonek bin atik. And what's the reason for this? He said because the panemios of Abba is considered as if he's feeding off of of Atik, of the keilu yonek min Atik. What is Abba? Abba is two partsufim removed from Atik. So how is it Abba is related directly to Atik? Haganos Mislavish toch Eric Anpin. He says that because the Atik, which is hidden inside of Eric Anpin, that's the Atik he's talking about. It's a little bit vague for me. So he said, Tamhus, but you have to understand that this is the idea. In other words, in some way inside of Abba Ve'ima is a panemius is some aspect of Atik. He didn't say panemius. And the reason is right this: when Atik is originally Masukan, Hoya Abba Ve'ima Ach Ba'ach, in that position, Abba Ve'ima were not facing each other for Yichud. They were not in a position to be able to bring Shefa into the lower worlds. Nimsi is Zivug Abba Ve'ima Ach Ba'ach, and so therefore there had to be a Yichud of Abba Ve'ima, which was called Ach Ba'ach. That is, they rose up to a certain level that allowed them to make this turnaround and make a Yichud. Hu nimshach metikun atik yomim. It actually takes place as a result of the tikun of atik yomim. Now that takes a lot more hesber for me, so let's go over here. And it says like this. Eluhem divri morizal. So he says, these are the words of my master. Ve'enu zocher habanasam pirushim. But those are his words, but I really don't understand them. I don't remember their understanding or how to explain them. That's the marachal. But here we come over here on number ayin, and it says Amna Maklalhu. So he says, what we see over here that the general rule about this is that the only way that there is a mshacha to Zer Anpin, from the outside of Abba. That's what you want to say. That's what we know. Why it is. The question was, why is it that you don't get from the Panemius of Abba? Because Panemius becomes before Chitzonius. But the answer is that that's just a fact. But when you look at Erik Anpin and Atik, Yesh Bechem Hamshacha Mechitzonius, Mechitzoniusam, Upininiusam. So it comes from both places. It comes from the Chitzonius and the Panemius. Midala Zivugim Elu. So he says like this, these four Zivugim, called Echod Nimsha B'Makom Acher, each one of them comes from somewhere else. In other words, it's Meluvish, that is, the Tipa is Meluvish from a different place. Ketzad. Zivug Tefillah Chakras. He said, for example, the Zivug that takes place at Chakras time, who has Zivug HaMeshuvach, this is the highest level of Yichud that takes place, brings down the highest level of Mochim into Zer Anpin. We call the Zivugim Sheyesh B'Mei Achol, and that's the highest Zivug that we have during the weekdays. B'hu Zivug Yaakov and Rachel, and this is called the Yichud of Yaakov and Rachel. V'hinei b'Zivug Hazeh, and this Zivug, Hu Moshe Chatipa Mechitzonius Atek. So this is what happens. The Levush, they're my words now because I copied it from the Tif. He says that the Levush that is carrying this seed is from an extremely penimistic place, from extremely high place, which is a place called Atek. Atipa Mechitzonius Atek, but it comes from the Chitzonius of Atek, not from the Penimius of Atek. And from there, that is where the Mochin start to come and stream to Zer Anpin. Be'ez Kriya Shema, the Yotzer at the time of the Kriya Shema, which we called, at that time it's called Yotzer. Zer Anpin Nosem El Yaakov Osa Tipos, and then what happens is Zer Anpin then transfers that Tipa into Yaakov. Kadesh Yizdavek Hu Yaakov and Rachel, in order to create a yichud, a oneness between Yaakov and Rachel. Now, with a few minutes left, we're going to come over here and we're going to read the Tifik of Anos. We'll see how much of this we can get done, hopefully. So he said number Aleph. We're over here on number Aleph, and let me get it so it's lined up we can see the whole thing. And it goes like this: Be'inyan Daled Bini Yehudim. Okay, we're down here. Hashinoyim Be'inyan Ha'arba Mini Kriya Shema Sha'ana Karim. So with the fact we say 4 times Kriya Shema. Bi'ar Rabba Drasha Koidim. Kikol Hashinui Hu B'Tevis Yisrael, because the whole change is with the word Yisrael. And that's what we said. When you say this magic word Yisrael, you get the Mochin de Kadnas come in. So he's and this is really the trigger that brings down the Hamshacha, the flow of the Mochin into of Gadlus. So depending, let's say, that depending on the mochin that Zer comes in, of kindness that comes into Zer Anpin when he says the word Yisrael, mochim elu hu ma'alaman b'tebes echad. So you find that those mochin that he has when they come into Zer Anpin, when you say Yisrael, those are the mochin that are offered up in Mayim Nukvin. Kedei l'grom hazivuk shel Abba ve'im. And what's the reason why? Because we want Abba and Yibba to make. So if you're bringing man from the mochin of kindness, which are the most important ones, then that's therefore it's bringing down the mochin wrapped in a higher place. But if you're taking from mochim, which are going to be weaker, because the more you have in katnas, and we just talked about this the last time. He said, "Az mamshech gam hamochin de gadlus b'makom yoser namoch." So then we see also that the mochim gadlus are also coming from a place that's lower too. In other words, maluvish. What are we maluvish? We're maluvish the tipa. So the higher the quality of the dressing on the tipa that's coming into Zeranpin, that's going to be the higher quality of consciousness is going to come into Zeranpin. So therefore, when you get the Kriya Shema Shemitah, that gets when he says the word Yisrael, what does he get then? He gets the makif because before that all he had was the was the panimi. So now he's going to get the makif to B'tzad Ima. So therefore we see that it's standing out of this in the word echad. So therefore in that Kriya Shema, the Kriya Shema Lamita, you're getting the absolute minimum amount of dressing covering over the tipa. Of a Kriya Shema the Arvis, Shemekabel Lezecha B'Tevis Yisrael, Mocha de Benimi the Kata B'Sad Abba. So then you're receiving at that the Mocha Benimi the Sad Abba. Let me read this. Of a Kriya Shema the Arvis, Shemekabel Lezecha B'Tevis Yisrael, Mocha and Benimis the Kata. He's getting the Mocha the Benimis of Kata come in. Mitzad Abba. Since it's a higher level of katnas, so therefore it's able to have a dressing on the tipa, which is coming from the kitzonis of a rich. Let's go to Kriya Shema the Karbanos. Shemekabel Lazah B'Tevis Yisrael, when he gets the word Yisrael, Hamakif the Katna B'Tzad Ima, he receives the Makif of Katnas from Ima side, Vapanimi the Katna B'Tzad Abba. So therefore you're bringing it from the Panimi Sarich. Now, all of these different things, it's hard for me to keep track of the mochin that come in. It's really academic. So it could be understood in terms of what mochin are coming in. So what happens like this is it's like in Karbanos, and he just says what you get, let me say, Kriya Shema the Karbanos. So you say the word Yisrael. What comes into Zer Anpin, who at this time had just been a panimi, had been an or panimi, he gets the of Ima. He gets the makif the katan b'tzad Ima. He gets also the makif comes in when he says the word Yisrael. But not only that, but he also gets the panimi the katan b'tzad Abba. He also gets that as well. So he gets now these two pieces of katnus. Again, the cotton is the makif of Ima and the panimi of Abba. So now he gets these in just by saying the word Yisrael. Now what happens when you get to the word Echad, all the rest of them come in along with the Mocha the Godless, but they only come in from the position that we're about to say because what was there to begin with was offered up in Man. You have to understand this concept that we bring in katnus. The katnus, once again, is the concept of all the things we lack. The more deeply we get into what our needs are, the more closely that we can relate and we can pray to Hashem Yisbarach, they should bring that to us. But if you don't have it, you can't offer it. So what we're saying is that when you have all of the mochin, which takes place in chakras, in the tefillah of the Shema and chakras, of what they call the tefillah, the Shema, the Yotzer, he said there you're going to have to begin with everything to offer up. Everything to offer up, and as a result of that, the dressing on the tipa will be the maximum. So let's go. L'chein mamshek oz b'tevis Yisrael hamochin the godless min panimius arich, because you go to a higher level, you're getting up a panimius arich. Of a kriya shema the yotzer, and finally so that's what takes place at Karbanos. So he said, "A kriya shema the yotzer." When you get the Yotzer Shemekabel Lezecha B'Tevis Yisrael, the Jozah gets when he says the word Yisrael. A makif the katan b'tzad Abba. What's he getting there? That one word brings him the makif of katan b'tzad Abba. So first comes panimi, because in terms of oros, the makif is a much stronger light. So we're talking about oros, the makif is a much stronger light. So therefore now we're saying the magic word Yisrael in that Yotzer brings in the makif of katnis of on the side of Abba. So then all of the means that all of the penimim of Abba and Ima and the makifim of Abba and Ima of katnis are now all inside of Zir Anpin in a position to be able to be offered up. So therefore, what we're doing is we're pouring down at that time when you say the word echad. It comes from a much higher place because you offered up more mochin dekatnas. So it comes like this, that all of the differences, when you say this magic word, when the mochin of godless comes in, when you say the word echad, but everything that comes in and the nature of the shefa, the way it is wrapped, it's wrapped in light. The beautiful light that comes from Atek, or the beautiful light that comes from the Benimius of Arich, or from the Kitzonius of Arich, or the Kitzonius of Abba Be'ima. Wherever that light is, that is a gorgeous, gorgeous, wonderful light that's coming in, but the most powerful of it is going to be in Yotzer, because that is where you have all the mochin to offer up, of katnas to offer up. All of your pleas, all of your prayers are right there. And that's going to be our shir today. It didn't go as fast as I thought, but I had to kind of think this out. This is the idea of these kavanos. This is what you want to have in mind. Rabbi Memron said, what you're doing is where your mind is at. And if your mind is at these things that he is explaining, that as what you're actually offering up to God when you say Kriat Shemah, when you say the Kriat Shemah, the Yotzer, as he just said, you're going to be getting a tremendous amount of light come into you. And that's the kavana that you have to have. Thank you for coming and joining with me. This is Baruch Fleischman, Tikkun Elevator Kolo.